Welcome back to the Arena Sports Bar here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. After an exciting week, I'm Doug Skene, and you cannot wipe the smile on my face off after last week's game. To my left is Phil Brabbs, to my right, Ron Simpkins. And guys, let's talk about, before we get to the game, let's just talk about the atmosphere on Saturday afternoon in Ann Arbor. I got to town about 2 o'clock, and we were sharing before we came on the air here. I'd never been to a Rose Bowl or an Orange Bowl as a fan, but I felt like I was at a major bowl game. What'd you guys think?
Same experience. I mean, I got to the golf course at noon.
Nice time.
I'm still recovering. And even on the golf course, so I ran into so many former guys that I played with, former students that were in the dorms with. It was just, it seemed like everyone was there. Everyone was excited. It was electrifying. And then the best moment was when I was about to enter into the stadium. I want to get to my seat on time for that kickoff, and all of a sudden planes just start shooting every which direction. I didn't know if they were, like, something happened in Syria, and I did get an update on my iPhone because I didn't get any coverage. But that to me was like, we're in for a show. We're in for a show.
It was a tailgate atmosphere that I had not experienced before. Maybe it was just my own personal excitement. Ron,
Well, the old guy, as I always told you, the old ancient one, you know, I watched it on television, but the atmosphere, like you said, it was like a major bowl game.
Yeah.
The way it was covered, the interviews, the game day, ESPN coverage and everything else. It made it seem like it was one of the major bowl games that, you know, Michigan was involved in. But the thing was just that the confidence you could see, you know, from warm-ups and everything else. That,
Yeah.
You know, these guys it wasn't like they were afraid or they were like ready for this.
Yeah, it's like they've been there before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they were young. That's what impressed me.
Yeah, when the team took the field for warm-ups and the airplanes started flying overhead, there was an electricity in the air, and I kind of felt pretty good about that time as the game got going. And let's talk about that for a second. How the game started, and let's just start with the offensive side of the ball. Just your impressions of the offense. I felt like early I was sitting there watching this game and thinking, we're not controlling this line of scrimmage like I had hoped, and I had to give credit to Notre Dame's defensive line. There's a couple really good ball players in that D-line. They're going to play in the NFL, but we were not effectively installing the run and getting it going real well, and then we'd scoot one out there, and then Devin would make a great play. But offensive impressions-wise, I thought you know, we battled, and that may be the most important thing is that we just battled. Yeah. Ron, what do you think?
But you know that the early part of the game, especially big games like that, everybody's playing on emotion. So you know you have to play through that emotional part of it. Guys are making plays when the game starts taking its normal course. You know, because in big games like that, the emotion is so high. As the first quarter wears down, now you kind of figure out where everybody is. I kind of know who they can handle, what kind of moves guys have. I've seen it on film.
Yeah. Right. What they smell like.
Exactly. Yeah. What he says to me during the huddle.
Right.
You know. So you get a feel for it. After that, you know, now the game kind of takes its own course. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you nailed the head when you said, and you two, Rod, mentioned it, we wanted it. And that's what we talked about it last week, that this team wants it. I thought they were going to want it more than Notre Dame. I think it was just clear that we wanted to win this game. We wanted to show Notre Dame that this what it means to us and how much we want it. And for having so many young guys who Michigan football and what it means to be a Michigan man, they understood what that game meant, and they had a big stage, and they ended up getting the job done. I was impressed.
You know, we tried, but you know, he's never had that atmosphere. You know, in games, you know, I'm up and down.
He did. He downplayed it. Every game was the same, right?
No game was the same.
Well,
you know, certain games are special. This is special, especially knowing that you're not going to pay these guys again for a number of years. I would put them in a whole different perspective, especially from the older guys.
I felt like, and you just made the point, I felt like the whole week long, the mud that was thrown between these two schools, if you will, the mud that was thrown, all stuck to their faces. And the way it led up to the game, and even ESPN mocking them with the chickens on the game day thing. I saw that later and everything just made them look to be the chickens. And there was a lot to prove on our side. And I felt like the atmosphere was the same. It was electric, and there was a mission in the air from our team.
Yeah. What about? I want to hear your guys' thoughts on Devin came out in '98.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, that was a bold thing.
I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think a quarterback was allowed to wear that number.
People were asking me about that. I'm like, well,
I don't know.
They're usually 12, 16.
Yeah, when I was watching the game, people were coming in the room, they're like, it's 98.
Yeah.
I was not wearing 98. You have to go through the whole thing, explain the scenario to them and everything. But, I think that kind of added to it, too. Because, you don't want to play bad with 98 on your back. You want to play him pretty much. Try to play as best possible. But that kind of gives you incentive. Especially you understand if you know who this guy really is.
Yeah.
What he did for me.
And as we all know, when you play here, part of your indoctrination of becoming a Michigan man is understanding the history of our program. And we are all taught the history going all the way back to the late 1800s about this program and all the men and all the teams. So you know how important it is for the players, because all those pictures are on the wall down there.
Absolutely.
All the way back 100 years of football players and teams, they're all there.
Yep.
So when I can only imagine being given that number, that must have been a huge deal for him. So guys, let's talk real quick about the defensive side of the ball and how we thought that went in the game.
Let's start with Ron.
Gosh, as a fan, because I have to think about this, okay? As a fan, the bend but don't break concept in football was played when I played football. Like many moons ago. As we were sitting there saying, okay, football, going after guys and that kind of thing. It was frustrating as a fan. But you realize that, made me realize that coaches game plan and they study the film and they realize what they want to do. And they were sticking to the guns. They're only going to blitz in certain situations. They're going to allow them to only hit balls and keep the ball in front of the defenders and that kind of thing. But as a fan, you sit there saying, why don't we just go after this?
Yeah, right.
That's how I felt the whole time. I'm like, we get what? I remember one sack, and I'm like, man, I was just expecting for us that D-line to be hungry.
Right.
Some linebackers coming, a corner off the edge. I thought we were going to have a lot more pressure on the quarterback.
Well, here you guys saw this, and everybody watched the game saw it. They moved effectively between the 20s.
Yeah.
When they got down inside the red zone, things tightened up really fast.
And we started blitzing. We started bringing linebackers, DBs, and that kind of thing. So my thing is, okay, why don't we wait till we get down here? Why don't we just go after them early in the game? But again, you have to understand the game plan. They stuck to the game plan. As a fan, you're frustrated, but the end result was a dub.
Good. Well, we'll be back to talk some more about this right after this from the Arena Sports Bar in Ann Arbor. Welcome back to the Arena Sports Bar in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We are here on behalf and brought to you by TheWolverine.com. Go to TheWolverine.com, check out all the latest and greatest content about Michigan football and Michigan sports. Guys, back to the discussion about the game, and I have a question. I have a kicking game question. Now, this is, here we go. Now, I noticed that kickoffs going both ways from both kickers were sailing out of the end zone, one after another. Touchback. And then all of a sudden, the ball's landing between the 5 and the goal line. So, Phil, how does the kicker go? And I'm talking on both sides. Our kicker, their kicker. I thought, wow, what happened? I thought it was going to be touchback all night long, the way those guys were booting that ball.
Well, the refs noticed that helium in the ball, and they made us.
The truth comes out.
No, I didn't quite notice that, other than the bag, the shank. I'll call it the shank.
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to the shank later, but you can't hit them all great. But the kickers these days, man, they have massive legs. I was known for having a strong leg, and I would kick it deep. These guys always kick it deep. And it seems like it's going to go through the uprights. But no, because the wind didn't seem to change. I mean,
it was breezy, but breezy's probably not even a real word for it. It was a slight movement of air that.
But for a kicker, it's all mental, right? I mean, they drove the ball through the end zone how many times? But you're getting near the end of the game.
Is there a fatigue factor? No.
They're a little bit. You're not kicking enough to get fatigued. I think trying to warm up all for 2 hours of the game, it does wear on you a little bit, but it's the mental. I mean, the game's getting tight. I mean, you look at the kick we made later in the game. That's pressure. He realizes that I got to put this. He's done it a zillion times, but he's not done it a zillion times in a tight game against Notre Dame on the biggest stage that night and potentially this year.
So can I relate this then? Can I safely relate this to a golfer trying to go out and you've hit that pitching wedge perfect every time, you're 80 yards or 100 yards or whatever it is, and then comes down to it, you got a good score going, and you need that, and an amateur golfer like me doesn't hit it as right.
Well, you're coming down.
Now I'm in the bunker.
No, yeah, you're coming down to the 18th, and you're feeling that pressure, and you know how. You're on the first hole. You're gonna make some bad shots in golf.
Yeah.
And even kicking, you're gonna make some bad shots. But it's all about being relaxed. It's not about overthinking. It's about just doing, just stroking it.
Well, it seems like it stood out. Like every ball was just, well, are we going to see a return here all night at all? It just seemed like they were killing it, and then all of a sudden it was going short. So that was just my question. But anyway,
to the right guy to answer.
Well, let's talk about. If we were talking about special teams, I didn't hear much of it on Talk Radio, but Brendan Gibbons, he's got 16 in a row going.
Yes.
He beat Remy Hamilton's record with All-American here at Michigan.
Yeah.
The last specialist kicker that's been an All-American. I mean, I think, and where he's come from, 1 for 5 his first year under Rich, and now he's automatic. He is automatic.
A cast-off kicker that the previous coaching staff had given up on. I think they killed this kid's confidence, and I think we touched on it before. What a testament to him, the kicker, for having the resolve to see this thing through, and this coaching staff for getting this kid's head straight. And now he's just money. He's just straight money. When that kid goes in the film,
it's just awesome.
Going in.
It's awesome.
Because you make me think about him and say, okay, he just broke the record. Now he's one
more. Now he's 2 more. He's just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. So it's a great story. Great story. So we got to talk about something that happened late in the game. And as great as Gardner played, and he's gliding over the field, and he's throwing the ball, and Gowan is unbelievable. And then there was the mistake. The play that I looked and said, did he just really do that?
It was done. You really sit there saying, it just happened.
So he had escaped, 2, 3, 4 times, because he can. He's so good at it. But then the dangerous thing kicks in. You think you can do it all the time. And you double reverse twice in your own end zone. Again, Devin Gardner's a 4th guy, but how many games do you play?
Right.
So he's still kind of young as a starting guard. Been around the program, not guard, but a quarterback. Been around the program a lot, but maybe just in that one moment showed a little bit of inexperience. Stunning. Yeah. Yeah.
They can crush that. When they came to the sideline, they were talking to everybody, snatching away from the coach.
Yep.
I'm saying, okay, this guy's
Yeah. So the mistake happened. I sit in the southwest end zone, as my seats are. I saw him come off the field, and he was literally directly, and I'm row 24, so not too far from me. He's smacking his helmet, and he was owning every bit of that. And you could just tell that he was frustrated. Man, he's not, tail between my legs, and you just knew that he wanted that game so much. And I'm like, okay. And then I wanted to see how he would respond, and he responded. You had that great drive. You had some more. You had another touchdown pass. And it showed me that this guy is our quarterback, and this guy...
Well, that's the flip side. Maybe he's a young starter, but that's the flip side of him being around this long. He went out there and made a really boneheaded play.
Right.
But I just had this feeling, this kid's got this under control. If he were a freshman or sophomore, I would have been really wondering and worried about his mental state of mind. But the experience and time and the leadership that this young man has provided, I thought, this game's still in control. But then we go out, and now the game's getting tighter. We have to punt, and the punt didn't go so well, did it, Phil?
Right. but things don't happen like that during the course of the game. When it starts going bad, and you lose that momentum, oh my gosh, trying to get it back.
Ron, I don't know that we lost momentum. It felt like someone was sucking the air out of Michigan Stadium. You could just feel the shoulders of all the fans going down, and oh my God, what is happening before our eyes?
The room I was in watching the same thing happen.
Oh my God.
Hey, Kenny Allen, I'm telling you. Kenny Allen for corner. I'm telling you. The guy's got a 51-yard under his belt first game. I would like to see him, but that's important, though. I talked about
it was huge.
Most important part of the game is the punt, and it's field position. That could have
back on the south side of the field.
That's not good. And yeah, that's as a specialist, it's frustrating, and I know what the kid's feeling like, but it's like, man, we needed to pin him back, we had an opportunity to pin him back, instead it goes off the side of his foot.
Well, go ahead, Ron.
But to me, what it showed was the maturity learned. Because Michigan, the emphasis is on team, but in the team concept, if the individuals on the team don't step up and make plays, that team concept thing kind of starts to weigh on people. Start pointing fingers and blaming other guys and that kind of thing. But to own it and then come back and be successful really helps the whole team, I think, build their confidence.
No doubt about that. That solidifies the offensive line, and that offensive side of the ball, everybody just feels stronger about the lineup that's in there, especially your quarterback, and you play even harder for that guy. But the flip side of the way it went, the bad punt, I felt like that defense said, yeah, we got this. We're going out here and we've got this under control, and they did.
Yep. And that's, we talk about both, it's the team. You're seeing a team early in the season playing like the team. And the team, like you said, defense is having a bad day, offense steps up. Specialists had some bad kicks.
Yeah.
Devin comes in and leads them down the field. Devin turns over the ball, the defense is going to stop him.
Right.
And that's just, man, that's
together. The three of us, we watch games like this, and we've all been there. So we watch certain players, and when things don't go your way, I watch the body language. Because I remember us going through games like that. You see the interception, and you're like, you want to turn and rip your quarterback's head off, but you love the guy, so you don't. And you come to the sideline, you kind of give each other the look, right? Don't do that again. We're working really hard out here for you, Matt, right? It's understood. There's a respect. And the same thing goes on the defensive side of the ball. When the offense makes a mistake, the defense is tired. Right, exactly. You guys walk by, and we're sitting there looking at you like, come on, man. Come on. And then there's a flow to it, and if you don't have a team that's together, as we all know, it'll tear your team apart in a heartbeat when things aren't going right and you don't stay together. So that was great to see. We'll be back to the Arena Sports Bar here in Ann Arbor, brought to you by TheWolverine.com shortly. TheWolverine.com brings you back to the Arena Sports Bar here in Ann Arbor. I'm Doug Skene. To my left is Phil Brabbs. To my right, Ron Simpkins. Guys, we've broken down the game. We've talked about the excitement, atmosphere, and the X's and O's, the highlights, the lowlights, and everything in between. Now, I can flash back to my years, and we all can. Let's talk about this for a second. When you come out of the big emotional game against the big opponent with a big emotional victory and the national stage like that, and you follow up with a game against Akron. Ron, shed some light. I mean, what did you guys go through when you had those kinds of games?
Well, the one thing we know, ESPN won't be there.
Right.
The game day, it won't be there for that. Okay?
no blimp. Goodyear's not going to be there either.
Not going to be there.
Okay.
Not going to be there.
Okay.
But this is why I think the seasoned veteran coaching staff comes into play, because you prepare, regardless if you play in the same way, or you should prepare the same way. And again, we talked about before. We talked about Central Michigan and the idea that you play well, so the guys behind you and the younger guys can get a chance to play. I think that would be the emphasis. Make sure that you play well so that everybody on the team gets an opportunity to play. Because if you don't, then you're going to be playing the whole game, and guys are going to be upset because they get a chance to play that kind of thing. I think those are the things that motivate the players, especially the upperclassmen, to make sure the younger guys get an opportunity to play.
Phil, any game you remember coming off of a massive, huge emotional victory, and then you played?
Well,
Can't even remember at this point,
the Washington game where I hit the kick, the next game was Rice. And Rice ended up being okay that year, but it was Rice.
It was Rice. So the whole week afterwards,
and in the state of Texas, there's a lot of other big
you're
programs.
walking through Schumbecker Hall, like, yeah, it's Rice. And then, you can't be too lax because it's another game, but it's Rice, or it's Akron, or it's Wake Forest when we were in school. And I remember it's okay.
In a game like that, too, I mean, we never had any games like the second night game. I mean, that was unbelievable. I can't imagine. And with social media, and there's so much buzz. These kids are probably getting tweeted like crazy. And now it's starting to die down. And I think I think the veteran coaching staff is going to be key. I think the senior leadership. I think Taylor Wan,
right there.
Those are the people who keep you focused. The younger guys, and it's a huge opportunity for us to start getting some of those question marks answered, get other people playing time, and see, because we're going to need depth throughout the season.
Well, there's two parts to that, really. It's there's no doubt that it's the coaching staff's job to take care of the motivational factor, and they will. But if the seniors and the upperclassmen are good enough, this won't be a problem this week. There'll be no motivation. There'll be no drop-off in intensity as they motivate and get ready to play. But there are some things to fix, right?
For example, the idea of showing color. I think the one thing we really emphasize
without bringing blitzes.
Being your guy or the stunts that they use, working on different stunts, you got time to work on it.
Right. The kicking game and with the punting situation, Mr. Kenny Allen fan over here.
I like Matt Wild. I mean, the guy's been phenomenal on kickoffs. It's like an automatic touchback.
It's unbelievable.
If you can kick automatic touchback, and you got Gibbons automatic field goal, we just got it. We can show up the punting game. We will win the special teams battle every week, and then if we can win an offense or win a defense, we got a great chance. And we can take care of the football. We have a great chance of winning every game.
Yep. I can remember Coach Schembechler after a victory, a big victory, and you're coming off of those games, and you're coming into the next week. I remember. I tell folks today, it felt like we had lost on Monday. Right?
It is so true.
You walked in there, you felt like you were a dog.
Sunday. You're about to get ripped. You're about to get ripped.
Did we win? I thought we won. Right. Yeah, the grades, I thought we were going to get these great grades, and no, my grades is wrong. Yeah, that's where the coaching staff comes in. You wanted to wear the picture jersey in practice, remember those days? For fans out there that don't know, I don't think the boy did it was the pictures.
Oh yeah. No,
if you grade it out
we got
above 8.
t-shirts.
We didn't get t-shirts.
Oh,
You guys got jerseys for in practice, right?
Oh,
We got helmets. You got helmet stickers. We got helmet stickers. We got t-shirts. We got t-shirts. So you have to grade out for the fans that are listening. You have to grade out above 80%. Anything below 80%, you did not make the Victors Club.
Yep.
And what they do is they accumulate the scores throughout the season, and then at the end of the year at the banquet, if you grade it out on average throughout the whole season in the Victors Club, you got this trophy that was about the size of this video game thing back here.
I don't remember that.
Well, it wasn't quite that big, but it was an honor. It was an expectation, and I remember coming off of those games, and you're walking in and feeling pretty good. This score's going to be great. I can't wait to see my score. And then Les Miles gives me a really bad grade, and I'm like, man, I thought I played pretty good. No, we didn't play very good. So it's an interesting transition, and you're going into the Akron game, and this team, I don't worry about it at all. I don't worry about this preparation for this team at all. Do you?
What you're really concerned about is don't take a step back. I think that's the coaching staff, the upper class. I'm really concerned about the fact that the emotional high and guys that have never been in a game like that before, and all of a sudden an opponent is not worthy of that same kind of emotional build-up. Making sure that the guys are ready to play for the course.
Yeah.
What are the things you want to see them shore up on offense?
Well, on offensive line, I think there's no doubt we got that arc of that press protection, that pocket's got to be stiffer.
Yeah.
Lawan's going to play 12, 15 years in the NFL because the guy's arms will reach across this bar. I mean, he's so good at pass blocking. He's a technician. There's no doubt about it. He's very, very good. The young guys in the middle. All right. No, we're not playing against a defensive end like we did.
Yeah.
Young guys in the middle, got to solidify over there. And our right tackle at times was getting a little soft on that edge a little bit. That'll all get fixed, and you can do those things against Akron.
But these guys, the anticipation is we should dominate these guys.
Right. And I think fans will think, well, if we don't beat Akron by 80 points and this is a total failure, that's not the case.
You want to work on things, like you say, get everybody a chance to get in the game. When it's time for them to play. Not get somebody hurt, then somebody forced to play.
Right.
But, do what you're supposed to do so everybody gets an opportunity to get on the field.
Right. Well, guys, we'll talk a bit about the Akron game coming up, what we think is going to happen in a moment. We'll be back with TheWolverine.com and the Arena Sports Bar in Ann Arbor. Come on right back. Welcome back to the Arena Sports Bar in Ann Arbor. I'm Doug Skene. To my left, Phil Brabbs. To my right, Ron Simpkins, TheWolverine.com. Guys, let's wrap up this week and talk a little bit about the Akron game. if we can all do so without cracking a smile on our faces as we talk about Akron. It's Akron. They're not a very good team, and we can say this as fans, former players as fans. And of course, anybody that says that inside Schembecker Hall will probably be thrown out this week.
Absolutely.
But as fans, we can say this is not a good team. How much are we going to win by? Is the defense going to give up any points? The first team defense? Hopefully not. And it sounds really presumptuous for us to talk like this, but I think it's the reality. How much are we going to win by on Saturday?
I can't tell you how much we're going to win. But again, it goes back to something. I think that's what comes down to. Coaches know how to emphasize as you get ready for, the rest of the season. You don't want to take a step back, especially with young guys.
Right.
You don't want young guys thinking every game. I think practice is a little harder, even more probably mentally tough than it would have been, had it been a more difficult opponent. But I think they're going to keep that edge and make sure the players understand this.
There's no doubt, Phil, that the coaching staff, if I think I know the way they coach, and I know Mallory will coach this way, the intensity and the demands will go up in practice this week coming into a game like this. Yeah. Do you agree? Disagree?
I think they're going to look at the film from last week. There are plenty of mistakes. They're going to work all week to correct those mistakes, and then the test comes on Saturday.
Yeah.
Whether it's Akron, Central, Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Yeah.
When I was there with Lloyd for 5 years, it seemed like we look at that schedule, and it was you win your opener, you beat Notre Dame, you beat Ohio, you win the rivalry games, and then you win every home game. And it seemed like that covered 95% of the games in the schedule. There might be one game on the road against Minnesota that doesn't fall into that, but and so I think. Man, I think they'll be ready. I mean, I think the focus is going to be on getting better. I think the coaching staff understands that. And
well, we're not in the building, we're not on the practice field, but we talked about it earlier. I think there's a bell curve to the week. And you start off the week and you're getting your head smashed in. You're told that you're barely good enough to start on this football team, that you got such a long way to go. We're not sure if we're going to make it with you. And then as we go toward the end of the week, the confidence changes and now you're being built back up. I don't know why it would be any different. I think Brady understands and the staff understands the way things go. And there's enough senior leadership in this team as well. But again, no matter how you dice it, it's still Akron. You're coming off of one of the most exciting nights in that stadium's history, and then you're going to play a noon game against Akron.
Yeah, there's some things I'd like to see, though. We don't have a running back who's rushed for over 100 yards in a game yet.
True.
So, I mean, I would like to see one of those running backs get up there. Get some carries. I want to be running backs. They'll always have a couple, 2-3 guys running the ball, but a guy that says, I want the ball on 3rd and short. I want the ball on 1st down. I'm going to pick up 6-7 yards. Yeah. I mean, I think to me there's still a lot of question marks that, who are going to be the guys come late in the season. This is their opportunity to say, this is me. It's my position. You got Delio had a big catch. You got go-to Gallen, but who's going to be the 3rd, 4th receiver? Now that they're keen on Gallen, shut him down. You got Delio who can run some good routes, but
and they're covering Funchess hard too.
And they're covering Funchess hard, but so who are those other guys that we're going to need to make a big play down the road? Because when we start playing some of those better teams, you're not going to get easy points.
Well, the one thing is you get game experience. To be able to do it in the game as opposed to practice, I think that's what's really going to help a lot of the young guys. And again, I think it comes down to the fact that you're going to be mentally beat up during the course of the week. Because the mental errors is one you can really control the mental errors in practice. And put the pressure on guys to make sure you make the assignments for one of the things you're supposed to do. And when you get to the game, it'll show. It'll show. Because like I say, no matter where you are, mentally, are you not making mistakes? You got your reads, you're taking that first step. But I think at the end of the day, those are the things that are going to really be coached out.
Yeah, the little details, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. There's a couple things that I'd like to see, and we'll wrap this up with not a game score prediction, but I've got a little twist on that. I'd like to see us get through a game without a body laying on the ground and our medical staff going out to get him off the field. That'd be great. Because every time one of them go down,
Paul out there?
Yeah, I don't want to see Smitty out there anymore because I see him and it looks like they've been shot by a sniper from the top of the stadium. The kid's writhing in pain. I'm like, oh my gosh, this kid's done. And then he gets off the field and he finds his way back in there. You know, gosh, man, I just like to see no injuries. Please, no injuries. But the question I have that we'll throw around the table before we wrap up, not what the score is going to be, but what's our margin of victory going to be? How many points?
That's hard to predict. You know, I'm going to say 21 points. 21 points.
That's it?
21 points.
It's Akron, Ron.
They're not going to score. I mean, we're going to beat them.
21 nothing, you're saying?
You know what? These are the kind of games that really drive me crazy. You know,
Right, because we talked about the expectations, right?
You know, you're supposed to blow them out. You know, and the crowd's not on your side if you're not playing well early. I take it all back. We're going to blow them out. It's 40 points. It's going to be 40 enough.
40 plus points?
40 plus.
Okay, I'll get to a number. I'll run my math through my mathematical model. But when I was there, and in the games, the Michigan teams I saw before, when I was there, Texas was hot, USC was hot, and when they played, they would win the close, tight games against good opponents. But when they played in Akron, they would destroy them. And when I was there, we would not do that. It was like we would just slow it down, and it was but I want to pulverize them.
Almost like it was a scrimmage, right?
Yeah,
At the empty stadium on a Saturday, a scrimmage game.
I just want to say.
We don't have a reputation of hanging 70, 80 points
No,
out.
we don't need 70 or 80 points, but I just want to see us come out there, and I want to break their spine by the end of the first quarter.
Bobby, my job was to score, your job was to stop you from scoring.
Well, I would love to see 35-0 at halftime. And then, whatever happens, I don't care, but I just want to see the offense come out and execute. I want to see the defense come out, make some good plays, maybe an interception for a touchdown. I want to be in the halftime 35-0. We can win by 42.
48 points?
I'm going to go 42. But I want to be up by 35 by halftime. I would say 70, but that's just not. I understand you got to respect your opponent, but if we're by 35, first half we can do whatever we want.
We're going to win this game by more than 50 points. I'm telling you right now. We're going to win by more than 50, and cross our fingers that no one gets hurt on either side of the ball. We don't want to see anybody get hurt from any team, in any game really. We don't want to see that. I hope that the crowd that's there can find a way to somehow get in the same ballpark as the excitement that was there on Saturday night. It's still a game. It's another notch in a long season. And as you and I both agree, we're going to go undefeated this year, so we have to win. Now, the guy to my left thinks there might be a stable or a hurdle in a way down the road. We're not sure about that. We'll talk about that later. But guys, it's been fun. We'll do this again in another week. Go Blue from the Arena Sports Bar in Ann Arbor and TheWolverine.com. Thanks for joining us.
Go Blue.